All right, guys, welcome to another lecture. Today we're going to be talking how to stay on track when people around you aren't supportive, right? So when it comes to maybe like having a spouse, a partner, kids, friends, family, coworkers, this can be a difficult journey and it can be difficult for other people to understand what you're going through, right? So we're going to figure out how can you break through that through emotional resilience, practical boundaries, and simple strategies that can help protect consistency, which is the most important factor on this journey, right? So not everyone is going to understand your journey, right? Statistics show that 74% of Americans are either overweight or obese, which means that you're trying to do something that a majority of people are not gonna understand, are not gonna be a part of, right? And like they're gonna be judging you for that, right? So you're gonna try to do what most people are not willing to do, and they would love to be in shape. Everybody would love to be in shape, right? But like not a lot of people are willing to put in the work and stay consistent, which is super important, right? So one of the hardest parts of this weight loss or health journey is that not everybody is gonna like support it, right? Sometimes the lack of support is obvious, you know. Someone can make a sarcastic comment, can question your efforts, or minimize your progress, which can sound very discouraging because this journey is already difficult enough, right? Like in this country, everybody's everybody's stacked against us, right? Like the processed food, the sedentary lifestyle, right? Like having to drive everywhere, using a car, like everything in this country makes it more difficult to be in shape, right? So like having people who are close to you, make their snarky comments is the last thing you probably want to happen, especially after a long day at work. So sometimes it can also be more subtle. A friend keeps pushing food on you. Hey, you know, like just have one more bite, or especially like if somebody, you know, if you decide to join a coaching program like we do over here, right, and like you try to make some healthier food changes, and then you go like to a restaurant, friends can be like, well, like why aren't you not eating it? Why aren't you ordering something that you used to order before, right? Like it can feel like they can feel a little bit surprised about that, right? Or a family member can roll their eyes. That can like it has happened to me before, so it can be very hurtful, right? Or someone acts like your new habits are an inconvenience, right? So that can hurt, especially when it comes from people you love, right? Because then you're not feeling understood. But their reaction does not get to decide your direction, which is very important. You are the only person who can control your actions. So the goal is not to convince everyone, right? The goal is to stay connected to yourself, your values, and the reasons why you started. So for example, me, myself, I've been vegan since 2019. So it's basically 7 years, and I was like vegetarian 1 year before that. So it's been like, 8 years without any meat. Wow, time flies fast. And guess what? When I started, like my family, like my father, still until this day, like even though he lives back in Europe, when I call him, like he still until this day says like, oh, like your teeth are gonna fall out, your hair is gonna fall out, and I'm like, all right, well, I just listen to him, but like I understand that like he's just not gonna understand my values, right? So like at the end of the day, you have to be true to yourself, and you have to know what are your values, what is your why. At the end of the day, this journey comes down to your mindset. So the stronger values and the stronger why you have on this journey, the more likely you're going to be successful long term, even if people around you, like it doesn't matter if they can see anything they want, you're still going to be able to push through. Right? So step number one, you have to separate support from permission. Support is nice. Support makes this journey easier, obviously. And that's why, most women hire JJ and they want to be a part of a community with other women who don't want to eat meat, or they want to cut back on animal products. Why? Because like a lot of majority of people in this country obviously eat meat, right? So not only we're the minority by trying to follow a health journey, but we're also the minority by trying to be more plant-based. So it, like, for most people and like people around us, obviously spouses, friends, co-workers, we're on a health journey, and on top of that, we're trying to cut back on animal products, which means that we're gonna be even more confused. But guess what? Let them talk, let them do their stuff. We're gonna prove with our actions otherwise, and we're gonna prove their snarky comments wrong, right? So support is not required for you to continue. Right? A lot of people accidentally give others too much power. They think, well, if my family does not believe in me, maybe I cannot do this, right? But they cannot control you. You're the only person who can control yourself, right? So someone else's doubt is not evidence that you are failing. It is just their opinion. It's just their thoughts, right? Like there are thousands and thousands of thoughts that go through our heads every single day, right? So it's just their opinion, their fear, or their limited understanding. A lot of the times people project their insecurities and their fears onto others. Because do you see that often? Like, if you go to the gym, or like, have you ever seen like a person who's in shape talk down on people who are like out of shape, who are trying to improve? It doesn't. It's very rarely happens, right? Because people who are ahead of you, they're gonna try to uplift you and to motivate you to move forward. And sometimes, like people who are, like doing worse than you, they might try to say those bad comments and those opinions to try to make themselves feel better about why they're settling for mediocrity, why they're like, especially when it comes to their health. Right? Because if they were already doing good, they would have like they would be supporting you on this journey. They would be like, "That's amazing. That's good for you," right? But because they're doing worse, they're trying to drag you down to their level. Unfortunately, that's how humans work. So you do not need permission to take care of your health, right? You don't have to be waiting for anybody to give you approval to start working on your health. You can do that right now. If you decide right now that you want to change for the better, you can do it. Because the present moment, it's all that matters, right? There's no future, there's no past, there's only now, right? So you do not need applause to keep showing up, right? Like as somebody said, nobody's gonna like cheer you for like one meal that you like, one healthy meal or like one healthy workout. It's all about like accumulation of all of those things. And like, guess what? Then one day you magically like get in shape, at least that's what other people do like see, and then like they start giving you all these compliments, but they don't see all the work and consistent days and the days that you showed up, even when you didn't want it, right? So their doubt is not your identity, their sarcasm is not your plan, and their discomfort is not your responsibility. It's just them projecting their own insecurities onto you, right? And then unfortunately, people who are closest to us can hurt us the most, right? Like that's why relationships can be so hard and so difficult, right? Because we're not only seeing the best parts of other people, but we're also seeing the worst parts of other people, right? Which you might not see like with strangers, right? So step number 2, you need to stop trying to win every conversation. So when someone makes an unsupportive comment, it is tempting to defend yourself, explain your plan, or prove that you are making progress. But most of the time, defending yourself just drains energy, right? Because like those people are just like trying to be entitled to their opinions, right? So you do not need to turn every comment into a debate because it's just going to drain more energy. Your results are going to speak louder than your arguments, right? That's why a lot of the times I get some people in my program who are like, hey, like I'm trying to make this change, and like I've tried to talk with my spouse, but they're not trying to make that change for themselves. And what I usually say, like the easiest thing to do is like you start making those changes, you start seeing those results, great results, and then your spouse, your friends are gonna start noticing that, and people who are close to you, they're gonna start thinking, oh my goodness, my spouse is actually improving, I might need to do something about my health as well. So a helpful rule is you do not need to explain deeply to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, right? So short replies protect your energy, calm boundaries protect unnecessary conflict, and you can be respectful without making your goals open for discussion. Right. So how do we do that? We use simple boundary scripts. Boundaries do not have to be aggressive. They can be calm, short, and repeated as often as needed. Right. So there's a good quote. Nobody will ever say or do anything to you that you don't invite them to do. Right. So you can always remove your attention from something that you do not want to get. So the goal is not to make the other person agree. The goal is just to make your decision clear. Right? For example, some quotes that you could use. I appreciate your concern, but I am following a plan that works for me. Right? It could be that like, oh, like you might have like a friend or somebody close to you. Let's say you're trying to like cut back on meat before become more plant-based. And if you're like, well, like how are you gonna get enough protein? Or like, why are you not eating meat with me anymore or whatever? And you're like, yeah, I appreciate your concern, but I'm following something that I decided is gonna be the best for me, right? It can be true that like a person closest to you, they could have like a way different diet, right? Maybe that diet works for them. Maybe that diet, another diet works better for you, right? And that's what you decided, and that's what you're gonna stick with, right? I'm not looking for feedback on my body right now, or my meals right now, or my workouts. If somebody offers you a meal, if you're like, hey, let's go grab this meal, or let's go for seconds, or why are you not eating this meal that you used to eat with me? No thanks, I am good. I'm not gonna go for seconds, right? Same thing. Like, like right now it's summer, but holiday season is gonna be coming up, obviously, and Thanksgiving. So I'm not avoiding that food forever. I'm just making a different choice today, right? Or I would rather not discuss my weight loss at dinner, right? So you do not have to over explain. A boundary gets weaker when you keep negotiating it, right? You just say it and then you just stay silent, or you can walk away, right? Don't invite unsupportive comments, right? Step number 4, you want to handle food pressure without making it weird. So unsupportive actions can obviously just be as difficult and unsupportive words. One common example is food pressure. So somebody keeps saying, just have one, or you are no fun, or you can start again tomorrow. I mean, this is crazy. Be like, yeah, just like go enjoy all these meals and you can always start tomorrow. And like, this is, again, somebody else like projecting their lack of action and lack of effort onto you, right? Because if they say that, they're probably the type of person who always tries to procrastinate and start things next day, which means that they never get started and they rarely make any good progress when it comes to their health journey. So in these moments, you need a plan before you are in the situation. So you want to decide ahead of time what is worth it and what is not, right? Which means making good decisions with your meals. Use the same short phrase every time. No thanks, I am good. This is a golden one. Hold a drink or plate so people stop offering as often. Move away from the food table when the conversation becomes pressure-based, right? You can just move your attention. Something that is not invited, you don't have to invite that in your life. And remember that somebody else's discomfort with your boundary does not mean that your boundary is wrong, right? A lot of people try to be nice, but once you're able like to fight for yourself and fight for the things that are important in your life, other people might get upset, but guess what? Let them, because at the end of the day, you're doing what's best for you, not to try to please other people, right? Because if you try to please other people and it impacts your health journey negatively, long term, you're not gonna be happy. Okay. So step number 5, do not turn hurt feelings into self-sabotage. So this part matters a lot. Unsupportive comments hurt, right? Especially from people that are close to you. And when people feel hurt, they often want comfort. This is when emotionally eating, skipping workouts, or giving up can show up. Maybe if you're right, maybe I should have one more meal. Maybe I should start tomorrow. Maybe I haven't like improved that much on my journey, and like the changes are not that significant, then maybe I should give up, right? A sarcastic comment from someone else can become a spiral if you let it turn into a story, right? Maybe I'm not making progress. Maybe this is pointless. Like, why am I even doing this? And when something hurts, pause and name it instead of reacting to it, right? So that comment hurt. I feel discouraged right now. I need a minute before I respond. I can feel hurt and still stay consistent, right? Well, I mean, it hurts like from people who are close to you when they discourage, right? So that might be like a personal topic you would personal conversation you might have to have with them, be like, hey, like what you said, it actually really hurt me and it actually feels like it's very discouraging, right? And if you want the best for me, which is people closest that are closest to you, they should want what is the best for you, right? So they shouldn't be saying those comments, right? So if you're like, hey, if you actually truly want the best for me and want me to look better and to feel better and have better health and be there for a long time for our family and our kids and our future, then like these comments long term, they're not going to be helpful for me. They're going to actually do the opposite and they're going to sabotage the results. So the win is not to pretend that you're unaffected. The win is not letting the feeling make the decision for you, right? And then again, if you don't want to like get into that spiral and then like if they end up seeing that comment, right? The way to avoid emotional eating is obviously like when you're feeling those negative emotions, you want to name them. And then instead of dealing with those negative emotions with food, you want to do something else, right? So like maybe just like get out of the house and go for a 15-minute walk, maybe call a friend who's more supportive, maybe go do a short workout, go on a jog, right? Like maybe go meditate for 10 minutes or journal for 5 minutes, some kind of like self-care activity that you could do instead of turning for food for comfort, right? Because that can become counterintuitive, right? Like you're trying to make better health decisions with your food and you're trying to emotionally eat less. And these comments can make you emotionally eat more, but we don't want that to happen. Okay. Step number 6, you want to build your own support system. So if the people closest to you are not supportive, you need to intentionally create support somewhere else, right? So that might be a coach, wink, wink, JJ, who's going to be here for you every single day, one-on-one chats, one-on-one calls, always here to listen to you, always here to push you in a positive way, because I'm able to relate with your struggles. I'm able to understand it's a difficult journey. And there's gonna be a lot of good days, but there's also gonna be a lot of bad days, right? Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. So you want to have a coach who's not gonna like put you down and who's not gonna like try to like make you feel bad, right? Because by making you feel bad and making you feel guilty, it's just gonna bring back like more of those negative emotions and it's gonna bring more self-sabotage, right? So instead of that, it's better like to focus on positive encouragement, be like, all right, well, yesterday might not have been the perfect day, but today is a new opportunity to become better. What can we do? How can we learn from the past mistakes? And what could we do better today? That's going to push the needle forward and you can become 1% better in your health journey, right? So you want to have a one-on-one coach who's going to be supportive, who's going to listen to you, who's going to hold you accountable every single day. You want to have a group chat, which we also have in our program, right? Because it's not only we're on health journey, right? Pretty sure you have heard that you become who you surround yourself with. And of course, health journey is difficult, but also being plant-based, it's even more difficult. So there's like a bunch of factors that are stacked on top of each other, right? So like here in this program, like most women are trying to be more plant-based or if not already being plant-based or vegetarian. So you become who you surround yourself with. You feel like you're a part of, you feel like you're a part of a group with other women who are experiencing similar struggles, similar challenges. So you're able to feel supported, similar goals, right? So you become who you surround yourself with. Maybe a friend with similar goals or even a private journal where you can track wins. So support does not always come from the people we wish it came from, but that does not mean we have to do everything alone. I mean, like me being vegan, Like here, I live like in Boise, Idaho, which is middle of nowhere. I don't think I've met like that many vegans, right? But like, does it mean that I'm gonna discontinue being a vegan? No, like I'm able like to find support from people online, and like at the end of the day, as even if I wasn't able to find that, I have a very strong why, very strong values, something that pushes me every day, and it never makes me second doubt my decisions, right? So you want to, and also another thing is, if you want to get a good health, then like that's most people don't have, and you'll have to do something that most people are not willing to do, right? That's why it's a difficult journey. So also you can share wins with people who will celebrate them, which is having our group chat and having a one-on-one coach, celebrating wins with them. Keep an evidence folder with progress photos, measurements, notes, and wins. That's what we also do in our program, to make sure that you're able to see where you've been. You know, even like because on Instagram it's like very easy to go and like see all these perfect fitness influencers or all these like perfect transformations. We're not looking for perfect, we're looking for better, right? And like, even if you're able like to make some small wins, doesn't matter how small they are, from week to week, from month to month, then you're able like to compare to where when you started, and that's what's going to give you positive encouragement to keep moving forward. That's how motivation is built. Motivation doesn't come from just like trying to use like pure willpower every single day. Motivation comes from even if you're not feeling like it's, still doing something, right? And then being able to see small results from that, which accumulates over time. And that's how we can stay consistent. Asking for an accountability from someone who respects your goal, again, a coach, and limit how much you share with people who consistently discourage you, right? So it's like, again, even if it's like people who are close to you, right? Like whenever they do something that you don't invite them to do, you have to remove your attention, right? And that's how you're gonna hopefully learn your boundaries. And step number 7, let your actions become the proof. That's the most important part. The most powerful response to doubt is consistency. So you do not need to convince someone in one conversation. You simply need to keep showing up for yourself. You don't show up for others, you show up for yourself, right? Over time, your repeated actions build evidence, not just for other people, but for yourself. So every walk, every planned meal, every workout, every reset is proof that you're becoming someone who follows through, right? It means that you set certain actions and you're able to follow through on that, and you're able to build self-trust. It means you're not lying to yourself, because a lot of people, they are lying to themselves, right? I'll start tomorrow, you're lying to yourself. I'll start next year, you're lying to yourself, right? So like the comments that I had at the top, where people were saying, well, you know, just one more meal, one more thing, it's not gonna hurt. That's also what they tell themselves, and that's what also keeps them stuck. So you don't want to take advice from somebody who isn't where you actually want to be health wise. You do not need everyone to believe in you before you begin. You need to believe in yourself. That's the most important. You build belief by keeping promises to yourself. That's what I mentioned. You set a goal, you're able to follow through on that goal. If you're not able to follow through on that, you learn from the mistakes, you see how you can become better, and then bit by bit, you take a look at those small wins, and it's gonna make you feel better, and stick with this journey. Confidence grows when your actions prove that you can be trusted, right? When you stop lying to yourself, you keep following through, you're gonna trust yourself. Step number 8, decide what you will protect. So when people around you are unsupportive, you need to get clear on what matters the most. You might not be able to control their comments, their food choices, or their opinions, but you can protect your standards, right? So there's that quote, right? Like you cannot control other people, but you can control how you react to other people's actions, right? You can only control yourself. So you can protect your morning routine, protect your movement and workouts, protect your planned meals most of the time, your sleep and your self-respect. So when your environment is not fully supportive, your standards become your anchor, right? Because it doesn't matter what happens in the world, how you're feeling, what other people are saying, right? Like if you're still able like to show up for yourself with your workouts, with your meals, you're gonna become indestructible. You're not like, nobody's gonna be able to affect you. And that's what makes strong people, right? Tough times make strong people. So reflection, some homework. You can also use these questions as a quick reflection exercise, right? So, you can like take out a piece of paper and like try to sit down for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes and try to write down thoughtful answers to these questions. So who in my life is supportive of my health journey? Who tends to make comments and create pressure? What boundary or phrase can I practice before I need it? What is one habit I will protect even if someone else does not understand it? And where can I intentionally get more support? Closing message: it hurts when people close to you do not support your growth. It is okay to admit that. Humans are very complex creatures, emotional creatures, logical creatures. There's a lot of problems in our lives, so sometimes it can be difficult to understand these sorts of comments, but their words do not have to become your limits, right? You don't want like to settle for that for what other people think of you or how much they limit their growth, right? So their doubt does not have to become your doubt, right? It's only their thoughts. It's not your own thoughts, right? You have your own separate brain that you can use to motivate yourself. So you can care about people and still stop giving them control over your choices, right? The strongest version of you is not built by waiting for everyone to understand. It is built by continuing even when they do not, right? It's same thing like with the feelings, right? Like feelings come and go every single day, but you still go to work because you have to, you have to make your money in order to pay for food, to pay for the roof over your head. So same thing with the fitness journey. Like it doesn't matter how you feel. If you decide that you're gonna go work out, that you're gonna go eat healthy even while you're not feeling like it, you're gonna succeed long term. So final takeaway: you do not need universal support to stay on track. You need clear reasons, simple boundaries, a few trusted people in your corner, a coach in a group chat with other like-minded individuals, and the willingness to keep showing up for yourself even when others do not clap for you, right? So it's better to be your own cheerleader. And I'm gonna end with this: is like, imagine if there's like two examples, like one person who's not feeling motivated at all to make the changes, and like they don't give a crap, but everybody around them is like cheering and feel, oh my goodness, imagine like running a marathon, right? Like like same thing on a health journey, like everybody else around you is like giving you rounds of applause. They're like, yeah, come on, you can do it, you got this, like let's go on this health journey. But you yourself, like you're just feeling very unmotivated and you're not wanting to make the change. You're not gonna make the change, right? Because it's not coming from within, right? But then another person, let's say we have like minimal support, everybody around them is trying to say, hey, you're not gonna succeed, whatever, but you have such strong drive inside of you, such a strong why, such strong values, that you're still able to push through. I would rather you be the second person, because all of that comes from within. You don't need like any kind of external validation to impact you to make this change. That's why me myself, I've been like able like to be on this health journey for more than a decade, and like also being vegan, because when I started, everybody doubted me. Everybody around me, my family, my friends, everybody was telling me all the time, where are you getting your protein? It sucks. Like, you're not gonna last that long. You're gonna start going back eating meat, after a couple of months. And guess what? I took all of their negative energy and like transmuted it into positive energy to prove them wrong. I'm like, here. And now 7 years have passed by, and guess what? Now they tell me, oh, like you just wait a few more years, you're gonna quit. Or they're like when I'm in shape, they say, oh, you're just like lucky, you just have great genetics, right? And all of that is just like projection of their own insecurities of what they cannot have. Because as I mentioned, people who are ahead of you, people who have what you actually want, they're very rarely like, I don't think they're ever gonna judge you. They're gonna try to support you because they've been through the same struggles that you've been through, right? But people who are behind you or people who are insecure, they're gonna keep telling you those comments just because they could be able to feel better about them, right? Don't give in to that. Stay on the course. Use your power from the inside, and you're gonna succeed. All right. So hope that was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next lecture.